Hi, my name's Craig Chappelle. I'm a director of Denmark Community Wind Farm Limited, and I've got 6 minutes apparently to tell you about the 10 years it took us to get our project off the ground, so hang on to your hats. Denmark, population 6,000, tall timber country in the deep south of WA, next stop Antarctica, began generating its own renewable energy on the 20th of February 2013. Current local energy consumption is around 14 gigawatt hours a year, and the wind farm supplies 54% of the domestic demand. We generate into the Southwest Integrated System, or the SWIS, which is owned and operated by the state-owned Western Power, and sell our electricity and RECs to the state energy retailer Synergy on a 21-year fixed-price contract. We operate two 800 kilowatt Enercon E48 wind turbines, which we plan to expand within the next year or two by adding another turbine and/or battery storage. A series of public workshops in 2003 identified a desire to build a small, community-scaled wind farm feeding into the regional grid, as well as improving the quality and reliability of the district's power. A wind farm would reduce the community's reliance on fossil fuels, help secure its energy future, and deliver tangible social and environmental benefits. At the time, it was the first such project in Australia. Ultimately, Hepburn and Mount Barker pipped us at the post, but that's a story for another day. In September 2003, a not-for-profit group, Denmark Community Wind Farm Inc., was registered to begin the process of turning the vision into reality. Extensive surveying of potential sites indicated that Wilson Head, a Crown Reserve 10 kilometres south of the Denmark town site, was the ideal place to build. As well as having the best wind energy, the site scored best against the WA Planning Commission's guidelines for wind farms in WA, as seen on this slide. An independent feasibility study determined that the project was technically and financially feasible, and in August 2006, an application was made to the federal government for funding under its Remote and Regional Power Generation Program, which offered to cover 50% of capital costs, with the balance to be found from private investment and/or loans. To take the project through its construction and operation stages, a public company, Denmark Community Wind Farm Limited, was formed in 2011. The 1.8 million $1 shares issued by the company were taken up in less than a month, and the company now has 116 shareholders, 212 of them locals, currently pays an annual dividend of around 9 cents a share. One of the guiding principles of the project was that the local community should be the chief beneficiary directly and indirectly. And one way this was done was to reward sweat equity, that is, to put a nominal dollar value on the voluntary time spent getting the project over the line. As a result, DCW Inc., the originating group, is a shareholder in the company and distributes its dividend income, which is around $20,000 a year, as grants for local community enterprise projects. In addition to the project's local success, it helped put community-based RE production on the national agenda, and still today provides a model on which other rural and remote communities throughout Australia can base their own projects. Some of our challenges, our two biggest challenges, I guess, were opponents, opposition, but you're more likely to get that with a wind project anyway than you will with solar. But either way, bring them on board right from the beginning. Get them involved, help them understand what it is you're doing, and you'll find, I think, that most of that opposition will just fade away. But certainly, probably the two biggest problems we had was building on Crown land and bureaucratic inertia. On top of that, in the 10 years it took us to get the project up, we had 5 Shire Council elections, 2 for the state and federal governments, and no less than 3 federal environment ministers to deal with. So we had to tell our story and reinvent the wheel quite a few times. So, what did we learn along the way? We learned heaps. But, in a nutshell, 3 points. Don't build on Crown land if you can avoid it, or unless it comes with no strings attached. 2, you will need to employ specialist professionals. So you'll probably need to raise seed funding to cover pre-construction costs, such as engineering and electrical studies and so forth. And the third thing we learned is that success, for us anyway, was a clear goal achieved through a collective vision, obstinately pursued, and I emphasise obstinately. Oh, and I forgot luck. Luck's very important. Don't ever underestimate the part played by luck. So what of the future? Many rural communities in WA are separated by considerable distances. Supplying them with energy via long wires from a single central source is expensive, inefficient and susceptible to damage and breakdowns. So much so that most of the Swiss is 60 or more years old, and the 400 kilometre connection between Collie, where the coal-fired generator is, and Denmark results in line losses that exceed 30%. There's nothing efficient about that. Interestingly, the other Denmark, the country of Denmark, is less than 1% the size of Western Australia, but has more than double the population and generates more than 30% of its power from wind, compared with less than 2% in WA. So there's plenty of room for improvement, whoever the next Mr. Premier is. As you can see from this diagram, there are currently 10 commercial wind farms on the Swiss, ranging in size from less than a megawatt, which is us, to 200 megawatts. Finally, can I just say this? Community energy is about collectively creating a viable energy future. Installing CFCs in your home, converting appliances, rooftop panels, using public transport, improving home insulation, and all those other domestic energy saving measures are all fine and dandy as far as they go, but they're very limited in their cumulative value. One wind turbine or a megawatt or two of solar PV is far more effective because it benefits everyone equally, and economies of scale dictate that you get far more bang for your buck. So that's it from me. I hope I'm within the 6 minutes. Good luck with your community energy project, and thanks for having us.